Thank you all for being here. I think this is the day where we're starting that slippery slope towards I've done enough of this already. But we have a really exciting guest in Zach, number 5 employee, right, for Canva, which has been explosively growing year over year, especially actually in the last year. You were something like double year.
Yeah, we more than double last year. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyone who's challenged by driving growth, that would be us as well. You know, this is a really interesting conversation. All right, so we're going to start out going back really to the fundamentals of how the business was started. You guys seem to have tapped into this new way of communicating. You know, how to communicate in a simple way, a provocative way, but especially a visual way. So, what led you to that insight in the beginning?
So we launched Canva 10 years ago, so we celebrated our 10th Canva-versary, as we call it, last year, which is a big milestone. We hit 170 million people using the platform each and every month, all around the world, but it definitely wasn't always the case. We were, the sort of upstarts in 2013, and Mel, our CEO, actually came up with the idea while she was teaching design software at university. So if anyone here has ever used tools like Photoshop or InDesign, you'll know how complex the design process used to be. And so I think she was just struck by the fact that it was crazy. It seemed crazy that you have to spend thousands of dollars on a piece of software, months, if not years, learning how to use it, to be able to even start creating something. Then the design process was really, really fragmented. So to create a social media graphic or a presentation or some marketing collateral for your business, you have to go to stock layout websites, you have to go to stock photography sites, font foundries. The process of actually putting an image or a graphic together was really cumbersome. Collaboration was emails back and forth or red pen markups. And so I guess that's where the idea for Canva came about. So the notion was bring it all together into one simple place. They have a library of templates, images, assets, all there that anyone could use.
That's cool. Well, first of all, thank you on behalf of all creators. It's a great platform. What's fascinating is a lot of people may not know this, but the company was founded and still operates its headquarters in Sydney, Australia. And so the Aussie Open is coming up this week.
Yeah, we're going to get back to the tennis.
Yeah. And so how has that concept evolved? So the fundamentals of simplicity, provocative communication, and especially visual communication, has it evolved?
Well, I think we've seen the world has just become a more and more visual place. When we reflect back, when we launched Canva, that was pre-TikTok, it was pre-Snapchat. I remember that first year, after we launched, actually, Facebook came out and announced that they were going to start prioritizing photos for the first time in the newsfeed. So you think about all the ways of visual content to today. The last few years in particular, we've been shifting more and more to asynchronous virtual communication. There's been this explosion in visual content. And so we've seen that, with Canva, 170 million people, almost half of those joined us last year. So it continues to grow. That's everyone from students and schools through to some of the largest companies in the world embracing visual communication.
So let's maybe talk about that idea of growth. How have you grown? I mean, we probably have a lot of marketers in the room. Having spent a lot of time running marketing, growth is always a goal, and yet you typically don't have as many resources as you need. You may not have the alignment across the company to drive the demand engine. How have you guys achieved the growth that you have?
For us, it's always started with the product and really building something that serves a huge pain point for people. And so that's really the crux of it. We are in an incredible position now. Actually, the majority of our adoption comes from word of mouth, but it wasn't always that way. We did a lot to kind of get the word out, but because of the product experience now, we know that if we bring people in, they're going to be likely to tell others and bring it into the workplace.
So advocacy is really important.
Yeah, exactly. And the way that we do that is focus pretty maniacally on the product experience and making sure that we sort of deliver experience that people are not only happy with, but are going to go and tell others about.
So experience, I think this expression holds true. Experience is the new brand. Right? It's the way people experience the product is how they think about the brand. And obviously, you've done a great job of how people advocate for that. I think you have 80-ish million people using your app actively. Tell us about the app experience versus perhaps an online experience.
Yeah, for sure. I think when it comes to Canva, the mission, so to speak, to empower our world to design. The world's a pretty big place with people using it in lots of different contexts and lots of different ways. So there are 190 different countries now. And if you imagine the breadth, people are using us, on the desktop, in workplaces here in the States, but you could be a small business owner in Brazil or Mexico or any sort of corner of the globe. And so Brazil is an example, one of our biggest markets. It's very mobile first, and so we've seen people adopt Canva on mobile, ahead of the desktop app. And many people are running there.
Is that a trend?
Yeah, and I think we're seeing that more and more around the world. A lot of the emerging markets that we have tend to be mobile first. And so because of that, we've really focused on making sure that the experience, no matter where you are or what platform you want to use, you can access Canva there as well. And so I've built a pretty consistent experience now across the web, iPhone, Android, tablet, etc.
Great. Yeah, I think that being able to have that unified experience is critical, for your success, as opposed to the app experience isn't quite what the online experiences or the desktop experience, or vice versa, frankly. And how have businesses adapted to this idea of simplicity and provocative communications, and especially visual communications? I'm sure you're paying attention to how businesses do this versus sort of I'm not talking about enterprise really.
It's become a critical skill now. I think we actually see a lot of companies looking for design and visual communication as a skill. One interesting stat that we discovered recently, there's over 10,000 companies on LinkedIn that are advertising with Canva. Tools like Canva as a skill. Companies like IKEA and Marriott, these huge brands. We sort of dig in more and more. Business leaders, I think, are seeing the importance of visual communication, both driving internal collaboration, but also more effective marketing. We all know that creatives are a huge part of the equation, and so people are investing more and more in that design skill training. I think it was something like 2/3 of business leaders said that they're now offering some form of training in sort of visual communication. So obviously, as the world's changed, the skills that people are needing is sort of following as well.
How much I call it onboarding or starter services do you buy, or is it that intuitive that people just get into it, almost like an Apple product where you actually never use a manual?
You can pretty much jump right in. When we launched,
That's a good setup. Okay.
When we launched, we spent a lot of time building our onboarding experience, and the goal was to get you set up within 23 seconds. So if you couldn't,
23 seconds.
If you couldn't create a design within 23 seconds, we weren't sort of there. So
is it simple and provocative and visual?
I don't know if it's provocative, but it's simple and visual.
That's cool. Okay, so you've grown, you're tapping into a global market, you say 190 countries, 170 million active users. There's the growth probably there is in going to continue at the level of doubling like you did this year. So what's next for Canva?
We've got a big mission empowering the whole world to design. So there's 107 million people, but there's a lot more people on the planet. I think the big new frontier for us is definitely the last decade was about empowering every individual, and we really think about the next decade as being about empowering every organisation. We've seen this kind of need become more and more prominent. Every organisation now has the need to communicate visually, and so we're really focusing on that. I guess building out our products and experiences to serve brands and organisations.
This is a question we didn't prep for, so it's okay if I ask this, but it seems that the product is really designed for the individual user. And now you're moving into an enterprise. How do you enable, call it, collaboration between individuals so they're on teams?
So I think the interesting thing with Canva is we've always built for the end user, and that's been what's fueled the growth. We actually see people taking Canva into the workplace, so we've got adoption in over 90% of the Fortune 500, and that's driven off the back of individuals bringing it into their workflow. But over time, that's growing into teams and sort of enterprises and adopting the platform. But I think that's the interesting balance of sort of serving the end user while also building out all of the important enterprise functionality, security, and management and collaboration. So that's a big focus. That's for sure.
Cool. And okay, so let's talk about a topic, of course, that's in every conversation and every headline, and the two initials. AI, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you guys feel about AI and its impact inside the product as well as just in general?
I think it's obviously last year was this huge kind of transformation. I think many people didn't see coming, and I think this year's going to be equally as substantial in terms of AI and what we're going to see. For us, we really see this new wave of technology being akin to what happened 10 years ago. Because of the internet, because of tablets, because of the technology that was available, we were able to actually bring together a whole new way of thinking about design. And so for us, the notion has always been to try and help anyone take an idea and turn it into a design as quickly as possible. And so back in 2013, that meant putting it all in one place, making it browser-based and drag and drop and intuitive. But today we've actually got this incredible opportunity to use AI to reimagine that again. And so last year we actually launched a suite of new AI products called Magic Studio. So everything from being able to generate a design with a prompt. So I've got a presentation for my science class, help me design something, and we'll create a design from scratch, or a pitch or a client meeting, whatever it might be. One of my favourite ones, Magic Translate. We launched actually to solve our own use case initially. We talked about being in 190 countries. There's a lot of languages, a lot of coordination and logistics from a localization point of view for us. So with Magic Translate, what we've done is use AI and empower folks to create an asset in one language, and then we click a button and have a campaign ready to go in 100 languages.
How do you quality test for that, especially language, right? Because it's there's nuances, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have a pretty robust internal process for that, and like any of these models, they get better and better over time.
So that's where machine learning comes into the AI bit. Yeah. Cool. And okay, as it relates to AI, given that you are effectively machine in,
How the world's designed.
right? So you're basically for creators, right? How do you think about providing credit to and potentially currency or compensation to people whose creative product is being used to drive better models with AI? That's a big issue, right?
Yeah, for sure. We actually have an incredible community of people that contribute to the Canva library and create templates that our wider community can use. So we call them Canva creators. Last year, actually, as part of the launch of some of the AI functionality, one of the things that we really wanted to make sure was that we were supporting that community, and so we actually launched a program where they got into creator funds, and so $200 million in that fund that basically will credit folks that opt in for any constraints on their creative. And so through things like that, it's a huge focus for us.
Interesting. So you're applying a lot of the open source sort of principles to and generated content into your model.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And what about copyright issues?
So, I mean, it's a huge focus and it's incredibly important for us. Copyright's at the heart of what people are using Canva for, and so we take that super seriously. We actually launched alongside that program something called Canva Shield, where we basically indemnify sort of premium customers from any potential issues. And it comes down a lot to not trading any learning models on pieces of content that should be walled off.
Right. And are all of these individual capabilities, Canva Shield, Canva, sorry, are they all included as part of a license fee, subscription fee, or are those
Yes. No, they're included. So you can use Canva for free. The vast majority of people around the world use us that way, and then we have a pro offering, Canva Pro, and then a team's enterprise offering as well.
Okay, cool. So a derivative of AI, I believe, is the idea of being able to create multiple variations of content for perhaps different segments of the user base, thinking kind of enterprise level stuff. How does the platform, how does Canva think about the idea of experimentation as it relates to really enabling an experimentation culture?
I think internally experimentation has been a huge driver of our growth and success, and I think we've definitely built the company on a lot of those principles. So we test absolutely everything. Prior to even starting to engineer a product, we'll have tested hundreds if not thousands of iterations of user experience design. We do a lot of testing on our marketing as well, so similar to our products workflow, we'll test creative concepts right through the process, and we've seen that can totally change the user's experience of the products. So that's sort of built into the culture and the workflow, and I think it comes down ultimately to a culture of learning and sort of curiosity and making sure that that's built in to everything that you do. And it's a lot easier to have a discussion when you're not entirely grounded in opinion and you've got experiences of real users there. You're looking at someone actually going through the flows of the product, or watching those ads and responding. What do they take away? I think you can't overstate the insight that you can derive from that, beyond what you can get from sort of aggregate data.
Right. So I'm curious about your marketing plan. You said most of your growth has come from word of mouth, but you must be doing other things since you're telling me you're experimenting with a lot of messages or techniques. What is it like? You're doing billboards? Just curious.
Yeah, we've really expanded over the last few years. So, the US is one of our biggest markets, but we're running full funnel marketing efforts here from major brand campaigns. We've run a sort of brand campaign for the last 4 years now, and we'll be market very soon. So that's TV, out-of-home, radio, streaming. Performance marketing, life cycle is a huge part of our engine, as you'd imagine. We've got all these people coming to our platforms each and every day, and they might come in for one use case. So I come in, for example, trying to create social media posts for my small business, but how do we make sure that we help them discover the next relevant thing as well. Social and community, as you'd imagine, that morality and community love is definitely something that we try and foster. There's literally hundreds of thousands of pieces of content being created, all the time. You jump on TikTok and there's people creating tutorials about how to use Canva for different things. And so we do a lot to bring those communities together around different cohorts. One of my favourite ones is our education community. So we've got quite a large adoption now in schools, and there's over 100,000 teachers in our community that will come together and share lesson plans and inspiration and how they're using Canva. So a lot of it is actually just bringing the community together and sort of helping create that platform for them to share.
That's great. You have such an affinity for a brand. Congratulations, and that's a really hard place to achieve. So I think we're about done here. So we're not done. Okay, we're done. We are back. Okay, we're done.
If anyone has questions?
Yeah, if there are any questions for us, please ask them now or see us afterwards. Zach's going to be able to stick around. I am needing to get to the airport, but I'm happy to answer any questions right now. Anyone else has any? Okay, cool. Zach, thank you very much.
There's a question.
There's a question, sorry.
Yes, thanks, Zach. Wondering, you talked about the past several years, thank you, have been about empowering individuals. Now you're shifting to empowering organizations. The mix of brand and performance marketing, how does that shift as you look forward?
For us?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we've really expanded our brand efforts over the last few years. So performance was definitely the first focus as we've been building the marketing engine. We've had SEO and sort of organic has been our focus, so we sort of lay off performance. But the vast majority, I'd say, of what we're doing here in the US is brand focused these days. And obviously, the awareness has shifted of Canva. I think when we started on the journey, we had about 9% unaided brand awareness, and it's over 30% now. So we've really shifted the dial there. But the really interesting new frontier is making sure that when people think of Canva, their perception is sort of up to date with the reality of where the product's at today. And so we really see brands being one of the best vehicles to help do that. So really, really important and sort of bigger focus for us.
Let's hear it for brand marketing. Okay, well, thank you all very much. Thanks for sticking around. Zach, thanks so much for your time. And congratulations, 6-month-old baby in Australia. It's going to get home to pretty shortly.